Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Pulp Crazy. I'm your host, Jason Aiken. In this week's episode, I'm going to be discussing a prestige format comic book miniseries, Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham. Written by Mignola and Richard Pace. The penciler is Troy Nixey. The inker is Dennis Janke. Dave Stewart is the colorist. And Bill Oakley is the letterer. Mignola provided covers for the miniseries as well. Archie Goodwin and Mike Carlin edited the series. Batman was created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham, is a title published under DC Comics' Elseworlds label. This is an alternate universe tale that views the Batman mythology through a Cthulhu mythos lens. Rather than throwing Batman into Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos as we all know it, the creative team places the Dark Knight in a Gotham City, circa 1928, that contains elements heavily inspired by the characters, creatures, and themes of the works of H.P. Lovecraft. For instance, rather than using deities from H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, such as Cthulhu, Yog-Sothoth, Azathoth, Shub-Niggurath, etc., the creative team created a new Lovecraftian deity, Yog-Sotha. I first learned about this series from the Lovecraft e-zine video chats, where Mike Davis spoke highly of it. I tried tracking down the individual issues, but could only find one for a reasonable price. So I was quite happy when DC put out the trade paperback collection this Christmas, and immediately placed an order for it. My copy didn't come in time for Christmas, but I did receive it in time to read it on New Year's Eve. Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham, opens in Cape Victoria, Antarctica, 1928, with Bruce Wayne and his three wards, Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake, searching for the missing Cobblepot expedition of Gotham University. That's Oswald Cobblepot, alias the Penguin, in the Batman mythos. So immediately, you have the characters in a Lovecraftian setting. I also enjoyed how Cobblepot went native, and began hanging out with some strange-looking penguins. This is a good example of how the series combines the Batman mythos with Cthulhu mythos elements. Wayne is able to rescue a man from Cobblepot's expedition named Grendon, and brings him back to Gotham City. Grendon is Mr. Freeze for all intents and purposes in this particular universe. Bringing Grendon to Gotham proves to be the catalyst for the story, as he isn't traveling alone. Something's come back with him, something that's connected to the very heart of Gotham City. Now, we're told it's been 20 years since Bruce Wayne left Gotham. Apparently, he's already adopted the Batman suit and identity during his world travels, as the suit was on full display on his ship. This Bruce Wayne is a Batman of 1928, a pulp Batman, complete with a handgun. His origin is pretty close to the Batman we all know. His parents were the victims of violence before his eyes on the streets of Gotham City. When Bruce returns to Wayne Manor, he finds a dead scientist in his living room, Kirk Langstrom, who Batman fans will know as Man-Bat. Bruce's investigation into Langstrom's death turns out to be just a small piece of a much larger mystery. Bruce will soon find out that not everything in Gotham City is what it appears to be on the surface, including his own past. I don't want to go into any more of the actual plot, but needless to say, you could label Batman as an occult detective of sorts in this particular story. There are more DC characters in this than just those from the Batman family of books, but the creative team didn't include too many of them. I think this was a wise choice. As tempting as it might be to bring in occult characters of the DCU, such as the Phantom Stranger, Madame Xanadu, Zatanna, the Shadow Pact, etc., it's best to focus on Batman, and this universe's version of the Cthulhu mythos. The two characters that they did bring in, that I can remember off the top of my head, were great choices, though. They are Etrigan, the Demon, created by Jack Kirby, and Oliver Queen, known in the mainstream universe as the Green Arrow, created by Mort Weisinger and George Papp. Etrigan is fairly close to his mainstream DC counterpart, but Oliver Queen is quite different, taking on a Holy Crusader motif. I went back and forth on whether to go into how the mainstream Batman characters are all handled in this, particularly the Rogues Gallery, but ultimately decided to leave that for people who want to read the book, as seeing how the creative team handles them and puts a Lovecraftian spin on them is a big part of the fun. The same can be said for the Cthulhu mythos elements. The creative team worked into the story. They're too much fun when you stumble upon them to spoil them, so I'm not going to do that either, as I don't want to ruin anything for anyone. The bottom line, if you're interested in Batman encountering the Cthulhu mythos deities, the Shoggoths, the Great Race of Yith, etc., this isn't really the book for you. But if you want to see an alternate 1928 version of Batman, occult detective, investigating the Lovecraftian-inspired mythos of this particular universe, and to see how the creative team handled weaving the Batman mythos into it, you definitely want to check this out. Also, I don't think you necessarily need to know the ins and outs of the Batman mythos to enjoy this. If you're into Lovecraftian fiction, I think you'll be able to follow what's going on fairly easily. Even if you don't know anything about Batman, this can be read as an occult detective story with Cthulhu mythos elements. Conversely, if you're a Batman fan and have no idea about the Lovecraftian mythos, you still might want to give this a shot. I'll be honest though, the main draw for this book is the Lovecraftian elements, rather than the Batman elements, at least in my mind, because we have plenty of Batman comics, but few Lovecraftian-based comics by comparison. And as far as I know, this is the only Batman Lovecraftian crossover out there. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Mike Mignola was co-writer on this with Richard Pace, so he did not do the interior artwork. But I think Troy Nixey, Dennis Janke, and Dave Stewart did a damn good job. Stewart often colors Mignola's work, so that helps give the interiors a little bit of a Mignola feel, even though he didn't illustrate them. Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham, has a $16.99 cover price, but I'm relatively sure you can get it for less than that on Amazon. Given how much the single issues were going for prior to the release of the trade paperback, that's a damn good deal in my opinion. Definitely give this a shot if you're a Batman fan and into Cthulhu mythos related fiction. Fans of both will probably enjoy it the most. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Pulp Crazy. Pulp Crazy is located at pulpcrazy.com. I'm at Pulp Crazy on Twitter and facebook.com/pulpcrazy. My YouTube channel is located at youtube.com/pulpcrazy. You can also email me at pulpcrazy@gmail.com. My author site is jasonscottaiken.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.